paper. As a preliminary matter, this is Brian Croteau, Board of Health Chairman. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Keith Kent.
Here.
Garrett Want.
Here.
Lionel Cloutier.
Here.
Jim Hebert.
Here.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. If there are no, if they can announce themselves when they speak. Good evening. This is the open meeting. Board of Health is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's recent executive order on January 4th, 2021, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, Governor's order suspends the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings in publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order which you can find posted with the agenda material for this meeting allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this purpose, the Board of Health is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the town's website, identifying how public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Supporting materials that you have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chairman notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective, clear conduct of our business to do and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chairman will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chairman will go down the line of members, inviting each by name, providing any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called further. Please remember to mute your microphone or computer when not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage with other members, please do so through the chair taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first ask members of the public who wish to speak, identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has listed all three public commenters, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice.
Justice for all.
So before we jump into the agenda, I need to make an announcement. Effective immediately, I'm going to be resigning from the Board of Health due to conflicts with my new position with the town. We're going to be passing the meeting off to the Vice President, Garrett Want, and he can take it from here. Thanks, guys.
Before we go any further, Mr. Croteau, thank you for your service. The job you have taken is a huge responsibility. We all know you knew that when you took the job, but it's still a lot of work. with a lot of employees, and just as things roll downhill, they also roll uphill, and everybody should remember that. So from this point out, for the good of our town, the good of your family, may you do well, may it go well, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We'll talk more about that later. So let's see. So our agenda tonight, I believe Brian already basically covered it, but it looks like what we have, some meeting minutes. We got Title V at 556 Lakeview Drive. We got some food permits. Meeting minutes. I know that Jim sent out an email in regards to the November meeting minutes. I did have a chance to review them, and I didn't see anything wrong. How about you guys?
I can't vote, I was absent.
Okay.
That'd be a good reason. So I guess with that, Mr. Acting Chair, a motion to accept the minutes is written.
I'll second it. I mean, it was only you and I, so we're going to have to go with this as is.
So right now we have 3 people, just for clarification. 3 of 5 is a legal quorum. We have 3 people right now. I vote yes.
I went over them, so if you want me to vote on it, I can.
Well,
I
if
don't have an issue, I mean, as long as it doesn't violate any rules and regulations.
No, we can't have just two members vote on it to approve minutes.
Ed Bond's not here yet.
Well, Ed Bond was absent too.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, he's also not here due to his work schedule.
Right. So I read it and I can vote yes that I approve of what was said at that meeting by the minute, copy of the minute.
Jim, are you here?
Yes.
Is that okay with you, or are we going to be violating any rules?
If you want, we can double check before we go any further. You said Ed missed that meeting as well?
I thought Ed attended that meeting at my house. I'm not sure. I thought he did.
Okay. Well, we can put this off till the end of the agenda tonight if you want, and maybe if Ed shows up, we can clear it up with him, and then we can get the 3 votes. If indeed he did join the meeting.
Well, if Deborah has the minutes, Garrett, if it's in the minutes, let's see if it says Ed even attended, then we'll know. But I thought he came to my house for that one. I know he came to the one.
In the minute that Lionel and Ed were absent, and that it was Brian, yourself, and me that were in attendance for the meeting. So.
Okay, so Ed must have come to my house before that, Garrett. Thank you. So I guess we'll just put it aside.
Put it aside, yeah.
Garrett, sorry to bother you. This is Debbie. Usually, because of the circumstances, because you're never going to have 3 members to vote,
Right.
usually because of the situation, you usually, another member is allowed to vote, but we write down because of not having a quorum of voters. Because if Ed's wasn't there, and obviously Brian isn't available anymore, there's always going to be just 2 of you, so you need to get it approved, but, that's up to Jim too. But usually it's fine, but.
Deb, is it the rule of necessity?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I
Yes,
couldn't think
okay.
of what it was called.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, so when you make the motion, just, you put that in the motion, that because you're all voting because the rule of necessity, that you only have 2 members that are allowed, that can vote. So Lionel, as long as he looks it over, he can. I mean, it's better off if Garrett and Keith, you guys make the motion and second it, and then he just votes.
Okay.
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome. Sorry to bother.
No, don't say sorry. Thank you for your help. Okay, Mr. Vice Chair, then I'd like to make a motion. First of all, I'd like to get rid of, annul my previous motion, because clearly that would not work.
Absolutely.
These are interesting times. So I would like to make a new motion with the will of the pleasure of the board that we make a motion to accept the minutes with members present with obviously the rule of necessity as just indicated. And also, even with the necessity rule, making sure that our health agent also verifies we could accept the minutes, and under those conditions, if we can, then we shall. Sorry it's so long, Deborah.
That's okay. I'd rather you put more in than less in, so.
Thank you. So that is my motion, Mr. Vice Chair.
I will second that. I'll call an order and Keith Kent,
Yes.
Lionel Cloutier,
Yes,
and Garrett Want, the vice chair, votes aye. So the meeting minutes have been accepted for November of 2020. So next on the list would be the Title V for 556 Lakeview Drive. Needed further evaluations. There was 2 wells inside 100 feet. So do we have anyone here that would like to talk on that?
I'm the owner. Both those wells have been tested, and they both are negative for any bacteria.
Sir, just for the record, could we please have your name and address for anybody watching, my good man?
Okay, my name is Camille Nasser, and the address on the minutes is wrong. It's 566 Lakeview Drive.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and this was the one that we had discussed, I believe, last month. Correct me if I'm incorrect, but there was an initial contamination that had been seen, so a second well test had been done to make sure there was no contamination, and both
Right.
tests had come back in a passing matter, correct?
Right. Corey did some work on their it's the neighbor across the street. Corey did some work on their septic system, and their septic system is a lot closer than my septic system. And so, so the contamination is removed. We should be good to go.
Okay. Jim,
Yes.
do you have anything?
Just looking at the bacteria reports, the water quality from the other test, it did say that I believe it was the E. coli was absent, but the total coliform was present. That could have been a cross-contamination issue when it was being sampled. The second test that came through, everything was negative, so the testing looks good.
Okay. Any of the board members have anything?
no. I believe as long as the wells have been tested and they come up negative, they should be able to be approved.
Okay. Keith, you have anything?
No, if the health agent is okay with this, as our second member is coming present to my home, I'm going to put my mask on now.
Okay. Would you like us to wait for him?
He just entered the room, Mr. Chair.
Can I ask you a question? Are those wells the wells that we asked that be tested 3 years consecutively?
Yes, those wells, both those wells were asked to be tested.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chair.
See if Ed has any questions or anything that before we move on.
I'm good.
You're good?
I just updated him while we were on mute.
Okay, thank you. I mean, looking over it, I don't see anything that's jumping out. I mean, everything looks like it was completed as we requested. So then I'd be looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve Title V for 566 Lakeview Drive and for 236 Beachview Drive.
But we haven't gotten to that one yet, Lionel.
Sorry, for Title V for 566, Lakeview Drive.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor for 566 Lakeview Drive.
Yes,
Looking for a second.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Vice Chair.
So we have a motion and a second for 566 Lakeview Drive. Call everybody in order. Keith Kent.
Aye. Aye. Oh, that was it.
Okay. Lionel.
yeah,
That's okay. And the vice chair votes aye. So we passed 566 Lakeview Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
So the next we have, I know it wasn't in the initial agenda. I just pulled it up now. 236 Beachview Drive. Jim, would you like to explain on that one?
Sure. Very similar to the last Title V, we have two wells that are inside 100 feet but outside 50 feet. Both wells were tested, and both wells did pass their water quality tests.
Okay. Do we have anybody here from the residents? Not seeing any. Do any board members have any questions or concerns in regards to this one?
Jim, just wanted to know these proximities, everything you feel was within acceptable based on past practice and obviously current requirements. I just need to hear it from you.
That is correct, yes.
And there was
Okay.
no problem with coliform or anything. They were all good.
Both of the tests on those two wells came back passing.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Do you have a
Do
question?
you know the actual distance, Jim? I just didn't see it in here.
Yes, give me a second to look that up. We have 70 feet to the neighbor's well, 60 feet to the house that is servicing that well. The well that is servicing that house, I should say.
Okay. Are you good with us requiring 3 years of testing? I know it's under 100 feet, and we typically do this on the other ones, so.
Possibly for the house, for the well that services that house with the 60-foot, seeing as that's fairly close.
Okay, and you don't feel the other one needs to be on that list too?
At the board's pleasure, if if they're worried, that would be obviously on the homeowner at this address, 236 Beachview, to pay for both tests. You can't put that on the owner of the neighbor, the neighbor. So,
Right.
at the board's pleasure, they would have to test both of those wells.
Well, I
What's the
believe
board
that was a requirement, wasn't it? Sorry, Garrett.
No, you're fine.
That was a requirement. Go ahead.
Jim, I don't know if you heard Lionel, he was asking if he believes that was a requirement.
It's not required, but it has been past practice for the board that the wells that are close, they have put on some additional testing for a few years.
Do you have the address, and you may have said, and I apologize if you do, of the other house? So 236 Beachview is obviously the one we're reviewing now. What's the address that we'd be requiring that they get their well tested to make sure there's no contaminants?
I believe that would be 246. 246 Beachview.
So you'd be okay with us requiring them to have 246 Beachview tested, seeing that obviously 236 Beachview Drive is their well, so unless they choose to get it tested, it would be their choice at that point?
whose choice are you saying? The neighbors? If the
No,
if the
no.
neighbors?
So the owners of 236 Beachview,
Yes,
you had said that their well was within 60 feet of the system, correct? Or was
correct.
it the opposite?
Correct. The well servicing 236 is 60. The well servicing 246 is 70.
Right, so what I was saying is, being that 236 is the household having the work done, and they're the owners of the property, having them make sure that 246 was tested for the next 3 years to make sure that there was no issues, and being that their property was 236, do we have to require them as the homeowner to test their own well?
I know the board in the past has required that, as we've required the test to be paid for by would be paid for both tests by 236. So it wouldn't be on the neighbors. The neighbors wouldn't have to pay for that test. The 236 would have to pay for both tests. But it is possible to require both wells since they're both within 100.
Okay. What is the board's feeling?
I believe that's the way it should be. It always has been done that way. That protects the homeowner at 246 from any contaminants ahead of time.
Okay.
In case there is a problem, we catch it before it gets too bad.
Absolutely. Keith and Ed?
I have a question. The other neighbors okay with it at 246? Being that close?
I haven't had any discussions with the neighbors.
And the other question, Jim, have we ever had a situation where when the well was under that 100 feet and it came back with contaminants in it? What takes place after that happens?
That would be, we'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis because every property is different. Elevation and where the septic system servicing that property is located, sometimes it could be closer to their own system rather than the neighbor's system. So, we'd have to take each unique situation.
Oh, you mean I can't see into the future?
Unless you get a crystal ball.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, then I'll be looking for a motion on the floor with the 3 years of testing as well.
I make a motion that we require 236 to be approved as is written, and that's Beachview Drive, and also to have 236 and 246 tested at the responsibility of 236 for the next 3 years.
So I have a motion on the floor, looking for a second.
Second that motion.
Second by Keith Kent. We're going to call a roll call vote. Lionel Cloutier,
Yes,
Keith Kent,
Yes.
Edward Bond,
Yes.
and the vice chair votes aye. So that is a pass on 236 Beachview Drive.
Okay.
All right.
Food permits.
Let's see, so next is food permits.
Okay.
I would imagine as long as you guys don't have an issue, we'll just do like we've been doing, and we'll just approve them all as one and have Jim sign them for the COVID rules and regulations that we've been using.
We could do that, Mr. Vice Chair, but I did stop by and see Mr. Abear earlier, so we could go over them for the public, if anybody who's watching.
Absolutely.
I was just trying to cover our bases, sir.
No, absolutely. If you want to take the food permits, Keith, have at it.
Thank you, sir. First food permit is permit number 2049, permit to operate a food establishment for Christo's Place, located at 51 Central Street, Washington, The fee of $100 has been paid. I looked through all these previously. There was no issues with Christos. Again, the fee has been paid, and recently that was one of the restaurants where I had stopped into and talked to the owner at the time when things went down from 50% to 40%. Currently, everybody's at 25%, but at 40%, they had already had the proper chairs already sectioned off, and the place, where I can tell you, was really clean when I walked in. The owner's doing a nice job there. So that was our first permit.
I'll make a motion to approve Christo's permit number 2049.
I make a second to approve Christos.
Okay, did you want to do one final vote for all the permits at the end and just let you read through them?
Hey, whatever works, my friend, whatever works.
That way we only do one motion for the whole thing and we can just read
Sure.
them one by one. Is everybody's okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I'll withdraw my motion on Christo's for now.
I withdraw mine too.
Okay. With that, second food permit is 2048. Permit to operate a food establishment, Gateway Convenience Store, located at 670 Spring Street, Winchington. The fee of $100 has been paid. There was only one note. Jim, you had one item was out of code. It was Miracle Whip that you found, 3 jars. I'm assuming, James, they removed them at your goodwill and pleasure.
Yes, on site at the inspection, it was taken care of.
Good job catching that, sir. Next food permit is permit number 2103, permit to operate a food establishment, Smith's Country Cheese, 20 Otter River Road, Winchington. The fee of $100. Jim, I can't see if the fee was paid or not, sir.
I can double check on it. You have the paperwork there, so
Yeah, I don't see it.
I'll
I'm
have to go
just,
back through the checks.
okay, it could have just been an oversight. I just didn't see the fee written on there, Mr. Hebert. There are no notes. And again, that was permit 2103. Next permit we have, permit to operate a food establishment for CVS Pharmacy, store number 8441, permit number 2102, and that is 301 Central Street, Winchington. The permit is marked as paid, the $100 fee. And there are no negative notes or notations. With that, we shall move on to the next one. Up next, we have permit number 2047, permit to operate a food establishment, Noria Energy Corporation. This is located at 93 Gardner Road, Winchington. Jim, I assume, is that the gas station over by the Ford dealership? Which one is Noria Energy, or is that the 93 Gardner Road? That's Route 140, sir?
That's Route 140 by the lights.
Just wanted to clarify, James, for anybody watching the meeting. Thank you. Again, that is permit number 2047, Noria Energy, 93 Gardner Road. Once again, the permit fee of $100 has been paid. Double checking each page one second time. And there are no negative notes or mentions of any citation violations. Next, we have permit to operate a food establishment, permit number 2101, Subway, Winchington, 29 Central Street, Winchington. The fee of $100 has been paid. I see no notes. Jim, was this one you were able to inspect in person? Just curious.
I believe not that one.
All right, Mr. Vice Chair, based on the amount of foot traffic they have at Subway, Mr. Vice Chair, on this one, I would feel comfortable making a recommendation to approve it upon, when available, having the health agent at his time and discretion being able to make a full inspection, only because of the amount of foot traffic they have and how they also get a lot of people next door from Dunkin' Donuts also quite frequently. So based on a lot of people going between those two, I would feel better, myself personally, Mr. Vice Chair, approving this one upon a full inspection. It should be noted, at no disrespect to anybody watching it, no disrespect to the health agent, due to COVID-19 and the current governor's and Mass Department of Public Health temporary emergency declarations. At this time, our health agent is not, I repeat, is not required to inspect every establishment due to the current pandemic. Knowing that, this has nothing to do with the health agent, and I want to state for the record, as a member of the Board of Health, this is nothing negative towards our health agent. I would just feel better, due to the amount of foot traffic at this food establishment, that we would approve this one, Mr. Vice Chair, at a later date, when the health agent has the time at his discretion to inspect the facility. That's just my only request as a member.
Okay, so did we want to do a motion on that one now, being that it's going to be separate from the rest of them, in regards to having that approved pending an inspection by the health agent?
Yes.
Motion to put that on hold, right, Ken?
I know, I would like to see it put on hold only because of the amount of foot traffic they have.
Okay. Jim, any issues with that, Jim?
No, not at all. We can put that off until actually the next meeting if you want.
Okay.
Thank
Do
you.
we have to make any motions for that now, or are we just going to throw that in at the end?
I would like to make a motion on this particular food permit that it be put off until the health agent has adequate time, based on during this pandemic and the amount of responsibilities he has at his hand and feet, to put this off to when he has adequate time to be able to inspect this facility. And again, please know, anybody in the public, the health agent does have broad discretion right now. He is doing nothing wrong.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to hold off on Subway until the next meeting in the health agent. Do we have a second?
Yes, a second.
So we have a second by Lionel Cloutier. We're going to do a roll call vote. Lionel Cloutier?
Yes.
Keith Kent?
Yes.
Edward Bond?
Yes.
And the vice chair votes aye. So that is a vote to hold off on Subway till the next meeting. Deborah?
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we have a few more, sir. The next one we have is permit number 2106, permit to operate a food establishment, Toy Town Elementary School, 175 Grove Street, Winchington. James, forgive me, I'm assuming there's no permit fees on this, as the town elementary schools.
Correct.
Or public schools. Thank you. There are no negative notes or condensations here. We are all set. The next one, permit to operate a food establishment, permit number 2105, Murdoch Middle High School, 3 Memorial Drive, Winchington. Again, there is no fee as it is a public school, and there are no negative notations whatsoever. Lastly, we have permit number 2104, permit to operate a food establishment, our 3rd public school in town, Memorial School, Elementary School, 32 Elmwood Road, Winchington. Again, that is permit number 2104. And again, there are no negative comments or concerns and no fee as it is a public school. And that, Mr. Chair, would lead you back to the rest of the pile of permits. Nope, that's all of them.
Perfect. So we're looking for a motion for the food permits of Christo's Place, Gateway Convenience, Smith Country Cheese, CVS Pharmacy, Nora Energy, which is 93 Gardner Road, the gas station, not Subway, apologize for that, Toytown Elementary, Memorial School, and Murdoch High School.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we got the motion made, that was by Ed, correct?
Yes, correct, sir.
Okay, looking for a second?
I will second that motion.
So a second by Keith Kent, we'll do a roll call vote. Lionel Cloutier?
I vote for everyone except for Christo's Palace. I cannot vote. I have to abstain.
Okay. Keith Kent?
Aye.
Ed Vaughn?
Aye.
And Vice Chair votes aye. So those are all the food permits. I don't see anything else on the agenda. Am I missing anything, Jim?
No, I think that's it for this evening.
Okay, the only thing that I will bring up is with the sudden resignment of the former chair, Brian Croto, we do have to put a post out there for an open spot on the Board of Health. And then also, I think that we're going to have to take a look at the Roberts rules and see what the next steps for us in regards to the positions here would be. As in, I believe per Roberts rules, officers chapter, I believe I will be moving up to the chairman spot, and we're going to have a vice chair and a secretary spot open at this point. But I want to clarify that with Jim as well as the attorney for the town to make sure we're following the proper rules and regulations for this.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
According to Robert's rules, we have to reorganize. We cannot just move seats up.
Okay, that's why I said I just wanted to verify with the town attorney as to what the proper rules and regulations were. That's why I said I was not aware of what they exactly were.
Right.
So,
how would you like to go about that? You're going to wait until hear from the attorney, or you want to do the reorganization?
Jim, what do you think?
I am not familiar with this. Usually we have our reorganizations, after elections, but, I imagine the board can reorganize at its pleasure. I would probably be more comfortable with checking with, the town attorney and seeing what the proper way of doing it is, and then going from there.
Okay.
Mr. Vice Chair?
Go ahead.
It is past practice. A past precedent was set by the town of Winchton selectmen who have previously reorganized mid-year. I believe Selectman Barbara Anderson at that point took over for Selectman Mr. Barbero at one point in a previous term. So the selectmen have done it. It's past practice. Also, when you call the Massachusetts State Ethics Commission, they refer you on this to another legal board at the AG's office. I have spoken to them previously, and they did say, because I was wondering how this was going to go, and they did say to me that they take no position either way, that you can or cannot on whether boards can reorganize as many times as they want, because you have instances of people leaving due to health, employment, moving, and a plethora of other reasons. Therefore, I was told by legal in Boston that boards can reorganize as needed as much as they want because they take no position on it either way due to those criteria and other factors. So I just wanted to let the board know that.
So, excuse me, Mr. Vice Chair, I believe we can take a vote to reorganize anytime.
Okay, like I said, I just didn't know the town rules and regulations in regards to us doing that, and that's the only reason why I had suggested we contact our town council to make sure we're not violating the rules, because we don't need to be going through any meeting law violations over a reorganization or not.
You can do it, but it's, we have always, when we've had people step down, have automatically had a reorganization vote taken to fill that vacant seat.
Okay, I mean, I'm good with whatever, you know, the majority of the board would like to do. I just, like I said, I haven't been here for a reorganization, and when I've been here when we did our last reorganization in July. Otherwise, anything past that had happened, I had not been on the board for that, so I just don't have the history.
Right. Okay. Jim, if you remember right, Kevin Bliss and Bob Mabel, when they stepped down, we did a reorganization immediately.
Okay, if that was quite a while ago, but that sounds like correct. I do remember when they stepped down. So if that has been the past practice for the board, then and the board is comfortable with it.
Whatever PAC practice was, Jim, I'll, I wasn't here during past practice for those events, so whatever the remaining 3 members of the board would like to do at that point, I mean, I'm going to leave it up at that. So if we want to reorganize now, or wait to hear back from town council. That's
Mr. Vice Chair, I would like to say thank you for your input. I think everybody's input on this board is quite valuable, and I'm going to anger a few people with this, but in my humble opinion, our gentleman who left the board tonight was elected long prior to taking this job, and I would have rather seen him finish out his term, but I don't have any say on that. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, and I'm just putting it out there. I would have felt that gentleman be grandfathered because he was elected before he took the new position, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm not saying this to anger anybody. I'm just letting people know where I stand because I believe in honesty and integrity, and I just wanted to say that before we go forward.
okay, absolutely.
I believe he could return, and I wish he hadn't resigned, but we have to move on. We have to bring this board to a full vote on who we're going to have as chairman, vice chairman, and clerk to continue our work. That's my opinion.
Good vote. No, go ahead.
Vice Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we reorganize.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's voted in second. We'll do a roll call vote. Lionel Cloutier,
Yes,
Keith Kent,
Yes.
Ed Bond,
Yes.
Vice Chair will vote aye as well. We need nominations.
I'll make a motion to nominate Keith Kent as chairman and Lionel Cloutier as vice chair. And
I second the motion for Keith Kent as chairman. And I will accept vice chair if need be. Yes.
Well, do you want to be vice chair? Because you said need be. I mean, I have no issue remaining vice chair if someone would like me to.
Yes, I will take the position of vice chair.
Is there any other nominations on the floor?
We need a clerk. So I nominate Ed Bond as clerk.
I prefer not to be Lionel.
Okay, I'll give the second nomination to Mr. Garrett. Would you like to be clerk?
I'd prefer not to be. No, thank you.
Okay.
We need a clerk.
So then,
Then we will,
do we still move forward as is? With obviously Keith Kent we'll have to vote on it, as Keith Kent being elected as the chairman and Lionel Cloutier being elected as vice chair and leaving the clerk position unfilled.
we could, I believe the chairman and the vice chairman could cover the clerk's position at the present time until the election.
If I need, if the meetings call for it, if I needed to read them as clerk for the meetings, I would be willing to do so as needed, as I am currently the clerk now. We just got to do whatever we need to do to move forward.
Okay, hearing nothing on, no other motions, we're gonna take a roll call vote on this.
Yes.
So then, Lionel Cloutier?
Garrett?
Yes.
Garrett, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't have a second for Lionel for the vice chair.
I'll second it.
Lionel said he seconded. Okay, sorry, thank you.
Okay, sorry about
Go
that.
ahead.
Deborah, please stop saying sorry. You're being thorough, and I congratulate you for it. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, thank you very much, Deborah.
So, Lionel Cloutier,
Yes,
Keith Kent,
Yes.
Edward Bond,
Yes.
and the vice chair votes yes. So is the meeting now yours, Keith?
I would like to let you, out of respect, allow you to finish the meeting, Mr. Vice Chair. I think it's a respectful thing to do.
I agree with that.
Okay, I have nothing else on our agenda. Jim, is there anything else you need before we call for an adjournment?
I have nothing else.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have the motion on the floor. Looking for a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, and Keith Kent seconds. Lionel Cloutier,
Yes,
Keith Kent,
Yes.
Edward Bond,
Yes.
and the vice chair votes aye. Everybody have a great night.
Before we close, Garrett, I
Yeah.
want to let you know I am very glad you are still on our board. As a fireman, as an emergency responder, as somebody who is medically trained, I consider your input valuable, and I am very glad you are still on our board. And please don't think you take it for granted, because as a first responder in our town during a pandemic, I find you to be crucially important, and I want you to know that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I second that
Thank you.
very much. Thank you. And
Your
thank you.
service as a frontline defender is very, very much appreciated during these times.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
Hey, we stand adjourned.
We do.